selling blueberry rock candy.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Chad McCanna.
Fuck you, Chad.
What? What did I do?
You didn't wish me a Merry Christmas.
Christmas?
Yeah.
Hi.
Are you saying you're aligning with Starbucks and their anti-Christmas message?
Oh, is that what that whole cup thing was about?
Oh yeah, their cups are red this holiday season. Excuse me, this Christmas season. Their cups are red. That's so offensive.
You're fired up over this, aren't you?
They removed the snowflakes. My favorite part of Jesus' birth.
Is Starbucks, is that like the Hobby Lobby of coffee companies? Are they like really right-wing on their board of directors, or?
No, they're not right-wing enough. That's the problem. This is a war on Christmas, Chad. They've removed the snowflakes.
Oh, the snowflakes were emblematic of Christmas. I thought I don't care. I don't care.
I'm fired up about this issue because without snowflakes, there is no Christmas. I mean, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, and then there are no snowflakes because it's summer. But
yeah, water doesn't crystallize into a solid form in the southern hemisphere.
Well,
that's the Coriolis effect.
Yeah. So, no, it's. I hate everything. I hate the world. The fact that this is an issue. This is what we're talking about this week is Starbucks has seasonally red cups, but they're not Christmassy enough, which means they hate the baby Jesus and Christians in general.
Who's the we that you're referring to? This is the first Starbucks related conversation I've had all week.
No, it's Fox News is riled up about it, and they're getting people riled up about it, which is just, I hate the world.
You want to talk? Speaking of the world, we're going to be talking about the world of Banjo-Kazooie.
Do they care what's on coffee cups in the world of Banjo-Kazooie? Because
do they even know it's Christmas in the Isle of Hags?
I don't know how much McJiggy celebrates the Christmas season. So
it's not even Thanksgiving. Why the fuck are we talking about this?
Because Fox News is talking about it, and they are the tastemakers.
Do you? Before every conversation, do you peruse Roger Ailes' notes of the day to make sure that you're in line with the conservative agenda?
His talking points memo. No, I'm against their agenda. Look, I'm just saying it pisses me off that people are pissed off about this.
Okay. This is the Kongversation. We can elevate ourselves above such rhetoric.
You're right. By golly, you're right. But then we'll be accused of being part of the liberal media.
By whom?
The people who are upset about the cup thing. Are you not paying attention to?
I'm sorry. I got completely lost in your circular logic. That's my fault.
It's not my circular logic. It's the okay. Anyway, I'm just repeating. By the way, Donald Trump says he's not renewing the lease of the Starbucks in Trump Tower.
Welcome to the Kongversation. If you're a first-time listener, we're very glad to have you. We've got some due diligence to get through. We've got 10 calls? Jesus Christ, 10 calls this week.
We had more than 10 calls, but these are the
10 usable calls.
There's apparently somebody keeps having an orgasm when they call us.
You know, by mentioning it, we're just encouraging him to keep doing it.
Oh, I don't care.
Eventually, he's going to realize that we're just not going to play his call.
Oh, I don't care. It gets me off hearing it. So please keep them coming.
Yeah,
literally keep them coming.
So, we got a lot to get through. We're going to talk a bit about not a spotlight of the Banjo-Kazooie series, nor any of the games. This is really a look at the larger shared world of the Banjo series, which is sort of a subset of the Donkey Kong universe. Some weird elements of that, ways that it crosses over, the history, the different theories, headcanon that people might have.
Yeah. Well,
it's a really rich, deep universe, especially considering there's so many NPCs you talk to. We'll get into all of that in a little bit. First, let's take care of some dude illigence.
Dude illigence, yes. So let us take care of some. By the way, I believe Dude Illigence has an awesome mashup with the Spiral Mountain theme.
Really?
Yeah. You can find that on YouTube. But yeah, so we are about a little over 2 weeks into our Patreon by now. And
so far, it's been pretty successful. I've been very encouraged.
Yeah. As of the day we're recording, which is Wednesday evening, we are very close to hitting the $500 milestone marker, which means as soon as we hit that, Chad gets to Twitch his life.
That may be exaggerating a bit, but pretty much all my console gaming. If we can get another $11 at this point,
as of the time of recording, we might have passed that by the time this episode goes live, or we might have stumbled backwards. But
yeah, basically, I will Twitch stream all of my console gaming, and as an extra bonus that we announced last week, I think, I will not only Twitch all my console gaming, which at this point, the majority of it's going to be Fallout 4, but the Donkey Kong Universe games that I do play, and I will make a point to mix them in. I'll not only archive... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I said, you last night you were like, oh, I'm going to play Fallout 4. I was like, okay, well, I think I'm going to go for a round of Donkey Kong Country Barrel Maze, because I'm a purist, damn it. I believe in what we do.
I can believe in what we do and also enjoy the latest time waster from Bethesda, but
yeah, honestly, I'm just upset Starbucks cups don't resemble barrels this holiday season. I find that outrageous.
So not only will I Twitch stream all that shit, and it'll be a mix of me yapping over the game along with Janelle, especially for playing Fallout, because that's really her jam. She's become addicted to the Fallout Vault game on her iPad.
She glows in the dark. Yes. She loves splitting atoms and suffering from the horrific consequences.
It's her fault for eating too many gigantic radioactive cockroaches, which is the first enemy I've encountered in Fallout 4.
No, lovely.
Yeah, it's great. But no, for the Donkey Kong Universe games, I'll not only Twitch stream them, but I will provide YouTube uploads of both my commentated Let's Play style versions and the direct feed just game audio copies. So, sometimes you feel like a Chad, sometimes you don't. You can have both flavors on YouTube.
I do prefer my mounds with Chad inside.
Eventually, I'm going to run out of organic material.
But until then, what a delicious treat.
Yeah, we've all seen the cookbook, Hyle.
So yeah, Patreon is vastly successful. By the way, it should be pointed out that this weekend, and if you're listening to the conversation on Saturday, which is the day it traditionally goes live up on our various avenues that we present the show, Saturday the 14th. Tomorrow, Sunday the 15th, will be the very first edition of The Kongversation Live. And this is a special treat for patrons at the $10 and up tier. Basically, you are invited to a private Twitch room, stream, channel, whatever you call them, where we will be broadcasting a live interactive edition of The Kongversation. Now, this means you can call into the DK Vine hotline and talk with us live on the air.
Yeah.
We'll also be interactive.
We've made sure that we can do this technically, and we're pretty confident in the technology, but it requires Hyle to be using his computer and me to be using 3 laptops to make this function correctly.
That's right. We've luckily, we've also got the NSA involved in this. As they spy on us, we are allowed to use their hardware as well. So, all in all, we'll have about 72 computers running just to make this show work. But you people,
it'll be like a crowd processing SETI at home kind of thing.
I remember the SETI at home thing. That was a waste of time, and It also burned the image into my computer screen in high school.
Well, you should have turned off your monitor while you were running your screensaver.
It gave you the option of using that as a screensaver, so I did it, and I regretted it. But luckily, that computer was on its way out anyway at that time.
So the one final thing that I think will encompass most of the rest of our due diligence is that we have acquired one of the rare fan packs. Rare very generously gave this to us. It includes a banjo backpack, a literal horstachio, a fudge hog pinata.
Don't make me do the whole fudge routine again.
Yeah, that was a fun runner last week, wasn't it? It's filled with candy, possibly Chewits. We haven't broken it open. There are stickers. There's a perfect dark wallet, a Battletoads hat, Battletoads sunglasses. There's all kinds of really badass rare swag and a copy of Rare Replay on disc.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I don't even think we mentioned that last week, but yes, there's a copy of Rare Replay in there as well.
Yeah, and I think it's NTSC. Sorry, PAL territories, but the rest of the stuff is compatible.
Hey, Rare themselves sent it, so it's their fault that they're not supplying these to their home country.
Well, at any rate, you won't have any trouble interfacing with the Fudge Hog.
That's right.
That's what it's there for.
Whatever you want to do with the Fudge Hog, that's on your time. We're not going to ask any questions.
Yeah. Interpret the word interface however you will.
You can fill it with candy. You can fill it with whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. We've all seen the cookbook, Hyle. So anyway, the way to enter that contest is to go to dkvine.com/rarefanpack. That's
there's going to be an address for it now.
There already is. I created it today.
This is why we should talk ahead of time.
All one word, Rare Fan Pack, spelled PACK. You go there, it'll basically redirect you to our forum thread where we're kind of running the contest.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, you just did it. Yeah, I'm a man of my word. More often than not. And on this forum thread, all you have to do is join the forum, post in that thread, you're automatically entered. But then to get additional entries, you just need to follow us, like us, subscribe to us, whatever the verb is, for our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitch, our Tumblr. And for each of those, you'll be entered an additional time. So
our
a maximum of... I said YouTube, didn't I?
Did you say? I don't think you said YouTube. You left one out.
Well, YouTube's in there. So a maximum of 5 entries.
5
basically.
entries, yeah.
Yeah. We're divorcing this from the Patreon because it gets a little legally touchy when you can, pay money to have a greater chance of winning.
We don't want people to buy their way into the raffle. That's not fair to those who are broke. I mean, if you're giving away an awesome free, prize package, you want the poor among us to have a chance to win it too.
Yeah. So, at any rate, it's we're going to be running this contest through the end of the year, so you've got plenty of time to join. We want to make sure that it's not just the people who happen to listen to us on a given week, and this will also be, after while we're well into the winter shitfucks later on this year, which check an old episode for what that's all about. We want to make sure Christmas is over, Hanukkah's done, Kwanzaa has come and gone.
Kwanzaa's going to be winding down. Yeah.
Is Kwanzaa like a month-long festival? Or?
No, I think it's a week. It's a week. I know it starts the 26th of December, so...
Okay, yeah, Kwanzaa will have wound down or be winding down, and then at the start of the new year, you'll have something else to look forward to. You might have a chance to win a Rare Fan Pack, and we'll send it out anywhere in the world. So
anywhere in the world. If you live in the Antarctic... you have a chance of getting this fan pack.
If you're a research scientist who really loves Rare Replay, we'll send it to you.
Or you're a penguin who somehow got on one of the research scientist computers.
Right. Yeah, the penguins, I feel like internet access should be treated as a basic utility for penguin kind as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how you can find us all over the internet, the social media spheres. We have unique content on each one of those channels constantly, all day long. The Tumblr is not a reproduction of the Facebook and vice versa. Twitter is also unique. We try and play to the strengths of each of those venues. So
yeah. I run the Facebook. You run the Twitter. Cameron Regal runs the Tumblr, and we never plan ahead. Okay, you're running this day. I'm running this day. We just go off and we do our own things, and it's a nice, healthy competition. I think it it brings out the best in us.
Right. So anyway, enter into the Rare Replay, Rare Fan Pack Ultimate Fan Giveaway presented by DK Vine.
Presented by DK Vine. Yes. So that's about it for the due diligence. A couple notes before we start the topic at hand. Obviously, on Thursday this week, if you listen to this afterwards, it's, as most of you will, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct, or there was a Nintendo Direct. And since we're recording this the night before, we have no idea what that's going to entail. It's going to be the first Nintendo Direct in months since technically E3, I guess, since before Iwata's untimely passing. So there's a lot of anticipation for this. No yellow shirt guys need apply. And yeah, I think it's just going to be the standard Nintendo Direct routine where everybody's going to go into it expecting results for what they want and then walking away disappointed. So
yeah, I mean, there have been a few more credible leaks, like the Twilight Princess HD thing. There was something that came out about like patches today. There was some video on the Nintendo UK channel, so something related to that. They said they're not going to discuss any of the Miitomo stuff. They'll almost
they don't want their stock prices to fall anymore.
Miitomo is radioactive. You might as well be playing Fallout 4. But we literally have no way to know what is in the Nintendo Direct. So we may, if it's something relevant to the site, we may be talking about it next week.
We might.
If it's a Mario Tennis Ultra Smash presentation, we probably won't be talking about it next week.
I really doubt. I mean, I'm not going to make any predictions here because as this episode officially premieres on Saturday, I will already look like an asshole for being wrong. I will say I'm really not thinking we're going to have any news about the Smash ballot. So
yeah, that's the other real outstanding piece of information that everyone's looking for.
Yeah, I think they'll reference it, but they'll say, nothing to show right now, and they might be assholes and kind of tease something, as they want to do. But I don't think we're gonna get any concrete information, especially about K. Rool.
I have a feeling there will be a tribute to Satoru Iwata at some point in the thing.
You know what pisses me off?
What's that?
All of the fake leaks that come out, and people always make up these mock screenshots from this fake Nintendo Direct to make people believe, and they always have Iwata tributes in them, and I'm like, you are some sort of callous asshole to want to convince people that this fakery is real, and then throw in this shallow tribute, to give yourself some credibility and also to do something in your mind, do something good. I don't know. It's weird.
Wait. Do you think that the people who spend their time coming up with Nintendo Direct leaks are including an Iwata tribute to make themselves feel like they've done a good deed?
I think in their twisted mind, that is the best thing they've ever done in their lives. Yeah.
These are people who want to watch the world burn. They're not interested in, stroking their ego, are they?
It's the closest they get to a good deed. Yeah. Oh, I paid tribute to Iwata in my fake Nintendo Direct leak. I practically Gandhi.
Well, to date, I don't think there's really been a substantive or substantiated Nintendo Direct leak at all.
I mean, there's been rumors from the usual channels, but not much credibility there.
Grain of salt until you actually see something that was accidentally distributed on an official Nintendo place, like their YouTube channel with the patch thing today. Don't believe it. Just not even with a grain of salt. Just don't believe it. It's less than 24 hours away. Watch it. But
Sal Romano has been quiet on the subject, but it is macaroni season, so he's probably busy.
Macaroni. He's got his macaroni hunting permit. He's out there to thin the herd.
He's got to get macaroni somehow. I don't know how they make it. I assume they hunt it in the wild and bring it in and prepare it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's free range.
That's why I don't eat it. I'm a vegetarian. I cannot eat macaroni.
All right. Well, with that in mind, we're not talking about it. So let's talk about Banjo.
No, well, let's talk about Platonic.
Oh yeah, there was a thing today, wasn't there?
Shades of Banjo, at least. Banjo by way of the team who all the good ones.
Right. The ones who left Rare in 2002, except for the fact that many of them were working there as recently as 2014.
Most of them were working there.
Right.
Most of them made nuts and bolts and worked on Kinect Sports. So I don't know.
Okay.
And Greg Mails is still at Rare. So yeah. And I don't see how you could say all the good ones left at Rare.
It's absurd.
It's blasphemous. But anyway, they revealed a new character today via IGN, and it is a dinosaur called Rextro64us.
Yeah, it's a
mouthful.
Can't say I'm fond of the name.
It's not a really clever pun. Let's just say.
Well, I mean, not only is it really agonized to get to the Nintendo 64 retro thing, but it flips the way that you would say Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yes.
Which would be like 64us Retrex would be a good one, but instead it's like
would that be a good one?
Well, it would. I don't know. It's just it's pretty clunky. I don't know, but aside from the name, what do you think about the character itself? Well, it is we should probably describe it. It's basically It's an orange T-Rex looking dinosaur with a giant head, but the gimmick on this character is that he is constructed of very basic polygonal shapes, kind of N64 style,
early N64 style. Like this looks it purposely looks worse than anything Rare ever did.
It looks like the yellow dinosaur from Diddy Kong Racing.
Even the yellow dinosaur had like more polygons than this guy.
Right. So this guy, he's one cool effect. He was, by the way, invented or designed by Mark Stevenson from the DKC3 and DK64 teams. So also worked on Cameo.
You think he would know which Brothers Bear is best?
He might. He very well might. He was the lead character designer on DKC3.
They probably spewed from him mostly.
That might be. If we ever have a chance to ask Mark Stevenson which Brothers Bear is best, that could be word of God. Canonically, this Brothers Bear is best.
Man, that would make the other Brothers Bear feel inferior, that the whole universe, that like the guiding hand of their universe deems them unworthier than the other one Brother Bear.
You know, I said after we got some folks at Rare to shout the phrase "evil acorn" on one of their Twitch streams, I was like, yeah, DK Vine served its purpose. Now my new goal for the site is to get Mark Stevenson to canonically weigh in on which Brothers Bear is best.
Canonically. I just want him to, like, what are his thoughts on Bachelor Bear? Because, that came after. Hey,
yeah.
Did he work? He didn't work on a GBA game, did he?
I don't know.
Yeah, how does he feel about Bachelor Bear?
There's literally no way to know other than to look it up. But anyway, getting back to Retrendo 60saurus, which may have been a better name. No, I do like that the character has this like scan line filter, so he looks like an old CRT monitor at all times. He's also got one of the Platonic coins, which is the main collectible from Yooka-Laylee, sort of in a pixelated form hanging around his neck. And he's going to be the, one of the stretch goals was to introduce arcade machines that you can play like old school style games. And he's going to be the one that allows you to play those.
He's going to be guarding them. So it's going to be, one comparison I saw on the DK Vine Facebook page is that he's kind of like a Clubba type figure where you probably have to pay him a certain amount to get access.
Yeah, and considering he's wearing a necklace of a Platonic charm collectible coin thing, you're probably paying him with that.
So I'll say this much about the character. It's nice to see shameless retro pandering that's not from the 8-bit era.
Yeah,
because one thing I'm absolutely tired of is just 8-bit sprite art, and it just becomes so like prevalent everywhere. It's seeped out into like normal culture, like outside of our sphere. It's just ubiquitous with video games at this point, and so it's nice to see kind of more our era represented, because one of our chief complaints is there's never been any pandering to the 16-bit and 64-bit era, so I like that much. Your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you for prompting me. No,
You're welcome.
I'll say this. I know that the whole initial point of Yooka-Laylee is to be a nostalgic throwback to Banjo-Kazooie. They pretty much embraced that in the Kickstarter campaign, and we know that a lot of the things that we've seen so far are sort of one-to-one analogs to mechanics from Banjo-Kazooie. Like the Ghost Riders are essentially Jinjos. There will be several per world. You collect them, get a thing, move on. Pages are the same thing as Jiggies. Yeah. You've got paintings instead of you've got books that you jump into instead of giant jigsaw puzzles.
They've got the shaman character, Lumbo Dumbo.
Of course.
Yeah.
A little creativity, Platonic. Come on. There is no Lumbo Dumbo in the game thus far.
There should be.
There should be.
I'm giving you that for free, Platonic.
So the one thing that I'm really looking forward to seeing Platonic discuss more of is the new elements to the game. So while this is a new character, it's also, again, another retro era throwback. So I'm sure that it's not all going to be just like, Banjo one-to-one representations, nor, steeped in nostalgia. Maybe they're just trying to get the rest of that out of their system before they start showing off a lot of the new stuff that they're coming up with. But I'm getting a little fatigued by it in general, so yeah. I'm hoping that we can see a little bit more of what new Yooka-Laylee brings to the table in the future.
But here's the thing, Chad. This isn't really for us. We and a lot of people at DK Vine, most of the people at DK Vine are more forward-thinking Rare fans, whereas Platonic knows how to play to the masses, and they're doing it, masterfully. And so there's a lot of, retro throwbacks and pandering to that, to the mentality out there that everybody good at Rare is no longer there. Rare is a shell of their former selves. And not that Platonic advocates that, but they definitely know how to strike that chord with people and say, we're the old school Rare. We're doing it like you want it done. And to great success. So
right. Yeah. And so I don't know. I'm hoping that now that they have got that base of people, they can start. I really want to see them do their own thing so that those comparisons sort of fall off. I want people to think of Platonic as its own thing and not just Rare 2.
Here's the thing, though. I think for the entirety of Yooka-Laylee, they're going to be playing it pretty safe. I think once Yooka-Laylee is a success, and they
you got there eventually.
I did. I know. It's Platonic is a success. Is a success. It's okay. Once they get there, though, and they've established themselves, I think they'll be more willing to take some risk and branch out. But as of now, they are really just playing up nostalgia, Banjo-Kazooie nostalgia, N64 nostalgia. Right. And, honestly, again, it's nice to see N64 nostalgia as a thing, as a definite thing again, for the first time. So,
yeah.
I'm not going to really complain.
Regardless of what help me out here. Rextro 64us.
Triceratops GameCube
Retrophsorolophus. Regardless of what this character represents on a meta level, as far as what we're seeing in this pre-release, I do like the design. I think Mark Stevenson did a great job, and I'm still lockstep behind whatever the hell these guys churn out because they are brilliant creatives. I'm just looking to see them exercise their unique vision a little bit more.
Oh yeah, look, Yooka-Laylee. Honestly, with that and Sea of Thieves, if they both come out in 2016, that's going to be one hell of a year. Especially
it is,
and the last quarter of the year. That's just going to be almost sensory overload. I almost hope one of them gets delayed so I can appreciate the other one more.
Yeah. You're gonna have a DKU specific Fallout 4 dilemma next year.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I can actually incorporate that into DK Vine, so I can justify the time spent playing these games.
Yeah, any time enjoying things for your own enjoyment is a complete waste.
Yeah, anytime I do something for my own enjoyment that isn't towards some sort of productive, creative end, I'm incredibly harsh on myself. So,
well, so that's the latest from the Platonic verse. But like I said, we have 10 fucking calls to get to, and we've jabbered for about a half an hour now. So,
well, you don't want to talk about the Mystery Science Theater 3000 revival?
Jesus Christ, not particularly.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I'm not really that enthused about it. I'm happy about it, but
yeah, it's great. Go Joel. I prefer Mike, and I get my jollies on riff tracks, and also I'm not that big a fan of the whole riffing genre anymore, but go for it, Joel. Wish you the best.
Yeah, my high school self is probably very happy right now. I need to go back. I like send the news back in time to him. It'll really make his day.
Yeah, and then he'll realize that he has to wait another 16 years for it. And yeah. Let's take our first call about the world of banjo.
Oh, yes.
Hey, BK Line, it's the Master DS, not Mametti. That would be... I'd talk about Donald Duck if I were Mametti anyway. So, Donald Duck. No, I know it's a banjo episode because you just tweeted it, so I'm going to ask you a banjo minutia question, which is, basically, this is something I brought up a while ago on the forums at www.dkvine.com/interactive/forum, that Banjo has a band, and he played a song, a little ditty, during the intro of Banjo-Kazooie. And on the drums, or was it the drums? No, it was the xylophone. On the xylophone, on Mumbo's xylophone, is written the word Nintendo, or the words Microsoft Game Studios, depending on the version. And what I'm thinking is that, actually, that is the name of the band. The band is named Nintendo. In the Donkey Kong universe, Nintendo is the name of Banjo's band. And any memorabilia with Nintendo on it is actually referring to Banjo's band. Like, Diddy Kong is a huge fan of banjos, it turns out, if you take in this logic. Anyway, that's my hot take on band names. What do you guys think? If it's not Nintendo, and like Nintendo is just the name of the manufacturer who makes the xylophone, what is the name of Banjo's band? And are they very famous? I figure that because Banjo is in a band, that's how everyone knows him. They say, hey, it's Banjo, from the Nintendo. Yeah, what a great band. Anyway, Donald Duck's pretty cool, I guess. I don't know. It's Mickey's Epic Speedway or whatever that is. You guys are probably going to be laughing. I think you guys are going to be laughing.
Think again, Master DS.
I'm stone-faced right now.
Thank you for the call. The master of the Nintendo DS. Yeah.
I think a more likely explanation is that either they just like slapping Nintendo or Microsoft logos on things that belong to them, or maybe they make instruments.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, if we're going to go with anything, people put, bands will write crazy shit on their drum set. Like, in high school, there was a band called Tokyo Space Cadets that wrote Sinbad Lives because they just loved the actor Sinbad, and he was on their drums written in duct tape. It's like people just put weird shit on their instruments. I don't think
who doesn't love Sinbad, really?
Of course, right? I don't think it necessarily means that's the name of Banjo's band. I think that if it's just a little like, jug band that they play in Banjo's backyard, which is what I assume that area is, that it's they're not quite so organized to have a name. I would say if that Nintendo thing needs to mean something, Diddy is a video game hero. He's far more famous. I think that Diddy wears Nintendo branded hats, and Mumbo put that on his xylophone as a tribute to Diddy Kong. Like, that's No,
I just think it's just a weird area of the world where they just love like Nintendo and Rare, and they just like having logos everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do know that obviously Rare exists as an entity in the Donkey Kong universe that makes video games.
Yes.
I think we have to say the same thing for Nintendo as well, don't we?
We know. I mean, Cranky Kong's always going on about Nintendo games, you know.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's meta, yeah, but yeah, they do exist. They do make video games in this world.
Cranky makes games on their behalf sometimes.
Apparently, yeah. So I mean, yeah, it's I don't think you can fan wank away the meaning of Nintendo. But it was, speaking of the world of Banjo. Yeah, one of the reasons we wanted to do this topic this week is in just about a week, we're going to be celebrating the 15th anniversary of Banjo-Tooie. And can you believe that? And, you know, we didn't really want to do a spotlight episode because it's going to conflict really with our spotlight of Donkey Kong Country 2, which is having its big 2-0 birthday. Yeah. And, you know, Banjo-Tooie will get its time in the sun, of course, but Mumbo will
we'll do a blowout for Banjo-Tooie's 17th anniversary. How about that?
Yeah, it'll have its moment in the sun. Mumbo will do that spell where the sun comes out and revives
he'll oxygenate
alien.
the water.
Yeah, So you know, you got that to look forward to eventually on the Kongversation. But we wanted to at least touch on Banjo this week. There's actually a video over the past weekend. YouTube user SwankyBox uploaded a video. Now this guy has never been to...
Great name.
Yeah, I love what it connotates. If
what, a transgender swanky?
Or I mean, you could be referring to Swanky's asshole too.
What? No, I don't think I haven't been on Urban Dictionary to look this up, but I don't think box is a slang term for anus.
What about man box? Like you couldn't go. Okay, well.
Okay,
anyway.
well maybe. If it doesn't already exist, it probably will by the time this episode goes out.
I hope so. So anyway, that would make my day.
So they cite the Kongversation as an example of how to use it.
So SwankyBox, never been to DK Vine, but he uploaded a video basically speculating if the world of Banjo-Kazooie was actually Spiral Mountain in particular was part of the Northern Hemisphere. And this is actually a favorite theory of mine, and it was a theory on DK Vine in the early days, circa 1999. And so that kind of got some gears turning in my head. And
we used to theorize that, and in fact I took the render of Donkey Kong Country 3's Razor Ridge, and linked it up with the top-down instruction guide, the guidebook map of Spiral Mountain, where the waterfall goes.
The official Nintendo Power Player's Guide of Banjo-Kazooie.
Right.
Yeah,
because it had those aerial maps, and it makes no sense in a world in which the Isle of Hags is a thing. But back in '98,
that's what we'll talk about,
to 2000, that was our favorite theory about the whereabouts of this world. But that's a good video on SwankyBox's channel. Check it out.
Yeah, so we'll get into that. But yeah, Banjo-Tooie really, like, at the time, and this was like the pre-Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft Auto 3, world where having a real interconnected video game world was like a big deal, and Banjo-Tooie wasn't a sandbox game, but it definitely, as far as platformers go, it definitely felt more in that vein than I think anything we'd ever seen up until that point.
Yeah, like an open world, really. And it's weird to think of how would you categorize Banjo-Tooie, because it's, it does seem somewhat like a Metroidvania kind of game where, you're rewarded for exploration, but there are places in which you're gated off. But then if you think about really the games that you would consider open world today, there are those gates in them. They're just usually related to the things you have in your arsenal, how you've leveled up. I think it with a very few minor tweaks to the way that Banjo's moves and collectibles are parsed out and what you can do with them, you could you could turn Banjo-Tooie into a more modern style open world game. The only thing that it's really missing is the ability to tackle any given obstacle in a bunch of different ways.
Hell, just thinking about it, I think isn't like GTA 5 the first game in that series where they don't like block off your progress, like where everything on the game map is accessible to you from the get-go?
Yeah, that's the first one. Yeah, you can go across that entire island and outward. Although even still, you don't have access to all the characters until you're like 15 hours in, and you would never go storm the military base at the start of the game. You need to build yourself. Right, you need to build yourself up a little bit, much like you do in a Banjo game.
Yeah. So, I mean, the same principles apply. But yeah, at the time, Banjo-Tooie, I mean, hell, to this day, Banjo-Tooie is just kind of mind-blowing how they really, like, made a concrete game world that lives, breathes, it's like, just intertwined with itself. I mean, you can, you can clearly see how the Isle of Hags is laid out and get from point A to point B, and characters from different worlds pop up. You can sneak into other worlds from a different world. It's just pretty remarkable what they accomplished, especially considering it's a sequel to a game that essentially used the Mario 64 template of jumping into magical realms, from an overworld.
Right. It's interesting how they sort of abandoned what was a fairly convenient game logic contrivance. And
I have to wonder if they only utilized that in Banjo-Kazooie because they were so crunched for time after, after making it, Project Dream, and then it evolved into, Kazoo or whatever it was called, and
Kazoo, then Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah. I have to wonder if they just had more time, based on having everything already figured out from Banjo-Kazooie, and they said, you know what, we're gonna actually be artful about how this world is laid out.
Right. So thank you for the call, Master DS. We got way off topic, but we appreciate you calling in, and don't pick on Memechi. He is a treasure.
This is Old Man Bear. I was just wondering what the update on my grandson is. Banjo! Please give some stipulation on what the relationship Banjo has to the brothers Bear. Oh, my hernia is acting up. Where are my pills?
Old Man Bear just called in.
What has our show become, Chad?
Yeah, well, we do know, thanks to Chris Alcock's word of God, that
shut the fuck up.
Banjo's father is named Bear. A different Bear, mind you, than the one Super Mario Wiki claims is in Donkey Kong Land 3.
Which we all know is Bizarre Bear.
Right, that's clearly Bizarre Bear. Mario Wiki is wrong. So this Bear character... It must be a rare IP, and apparently Old Man Bear is possibly Bear's father, possibly Bear's mate's father. But wants to know
his mate as in his chum.
That's right. Old Man Bear wants to know how Banjo is doing and what the relationship is to the brothers Bear. Do you think there is any familial relationship?
No, they're different species. Banjo's a honey bear, and his hands are different than the brothers bear. His claws are different than the brothers bear. They have a different amount of like Banjo just has like clean shaven hands, and
Banjo's his design is weird because he's basic's a Kong with a bear head.
Yeah, and that's why we love him. But no, he's a honey bear canonically, and the brothers bear are, I don't know, like they're brown bears or grizzly bears or something. Of that order. I think it's just like the Kongs. The Kongs are all different species. Some aren't even apes. Some are monkeys, and but they all have the same surname. I imagine it's quite the same for bears. And the rare archipelago. It's we call him Banjo Bear, and actually there's something in Rare Replay you found that actually calls him Banjo Bear.
Yeah. There's they have those. They're not even loading screens, really. They're just kind of transitional screens that are
which you can barely read because they go by so quickly.
Right. Yeah, it's a sort of, I have the same problem with Cameo. I've been playing Cameo a lot. It's one of those games that fell into my black hole, and they have these like tips that are on the loading screen, but the problem is the game loads the next scene so quickly you can't even read them. So good for the programmers, bad for the people who designed those screens because you don't get to enjoy them. Right. But in Rare Replay, if you take an Xbox screenshot quickly enough, you can capture the image. There's one that basically has it has Cameo and Banjo and Kazooie on the left and right sides of the screen respectively, and in really tiny font you can see the phrase Banjo Bear and Kazooie Breagle. So yeah, I guess that's the closest thing we have to a canonical indication of Banjo's surname, and Kazooie's for that matter. However, there's this whole idea of the rare, what the Rare Replay front end represents, and if it is this whole kind of otherworldly, outside the fabric of conventional reality thing that it seems like a few episodes back the aforementioned Chris Alcock called in and sort of alluded to. If it is that, then I guess that means that like the DKU's version of Q from Star Trek would have made this vaudeville sign, like someone who exists outside of our four-dimensional consciousness. I don't know. What do you think?
Honestly, I mean, however you want to interpret the front end ALADs of Rare Replay, I think that you could point towards that at least being soft canon, at least evidence towards supporting that Banjo's surname is Bear. It's not a lot to go off of, and it can easily be argued against that it's just a cheeky vaudevillian poster that is in no way supposed to actually be anything concrete.
But there is enough continuity, enough consistency of aesthetic within the front end of Rare Replay that I think it has to be canon somewhere. We just don't know how that relates to the DKU.
It's still in a real video game, and that gives it greater canonicity than anything outside of a video game. We don't play these things where, well, it's in Smash Brothers, so that's obviously non-canon, unless they completely fuck something up, like K. Rool having a brother named Captain K. Rool, and then it's just Master Hand not knowing his own facts when he's writing biographies. So, whatever. But, yeah, sure. I think that's the closest thing that Banjo has in actual relation to the Brothers Bear is they probably share the same surname, because all bears, in my mind, have the surname of Bear, just like the Kongs. So
that must make your hikes in the wood a lot of fun.
No, in the Rare Archipelago. I'm not madman who thinks that bears in North America have the surname of Bear. That would make me a crazy person.
That's ridiculous.
But that includes such bears as Bashmaster from Tropical Freeze. We call him Bashmaster Bear, and people hate us for that.
It's people being Super Mario Wiki.
Yes.
All right, let's take another one.
All right.
Hey guys, this is G-Mancer. Before I ask my Banjo question, I want to point two things about last week's Retro Studio segment.
Oh.
One thing is that they were never intended to show their game at E3 because they had less than 1 year of development. Secondly, the reason why they only work on one game, even though Miyamoto wants it, I don't think Nintendo allows it because it's just so expensive to keep Retro Studios up and running. It's not because, whatever games they're working on costs a lot of money. It's just because they're in America, and being a game developer in America is more expensive than pretty much every other country that has game developers. But anyway, enough about Retro Studios. My question about Banjo-Kazooie, especially Banjo-Tooie, is, now, why is Tooie missing? But I think the bigger question is, why is Banjo not going out and looking for her? Why is Banjo suddenly, I don't care about Tutti anymore. I'm not looking for Tutti. So yeah, that's my question. Thanks.
All right, thanks, G-Mancer.
Well, just real quick on your point about Retro Studios, they wouldn't have tweeted about E3 if they didn't intend to show it. Like,
can you dig it? right?
Can you dig it? And then they gave the link to the E3 site for Nintendo. I don't think they would have done that had they not had any intention of showing it. I think.
And 1 year is plenty to be able to show off at least a trailer. That 1 year is certainly enough to have a concept. I mean, hell, Donkey Kong Racing was shown at an E3, and that didn't even have a game yet.
And look how that turned out.
Right, exactly. Maybe it's for the best that we didn't see anything from Retro.
Yeah, I know Retro is supposedly very expensive to maintain. You would think they would just move them to Redmond. Like why are they like isolated in Austin?
Oh, dude, Austin is so much cheaper than a studio in Redmond. I mean, if they have available floor space in Nintendo HQ, yeah, maybe, but
that's what I mean. Just move them into Nintendo HQ at this point.
Nah, I'm pretty sure there's not enough space at Nintendo to move that entire studio, and Austin is expensive, but nowhere near Seattle area expensive.
Fair enough. Okay. Clearly I haven't done my homework.
We're not all as good as G-Man, sir, here, so.
No, he's been knighted.
That's true. So what do you think about Tutti? We do have a bit of theory about the saga of Tutti and where she wound up.
So I wasn't actually thinking we were going to get to this part of the world of Banjo first, but sure, why not? So the world of Banjo, we know various primary locations. However, one weird aspect of it is Tutti has resurfaced. She has. She was in Minecraft. Right. She was one of the Banjo characters available and still is available in Minecraft as a downloadable character,
which is a strange choice for the Minecraft folks to make, considering they put Banjo, they put Mumbo, Grunty was in there, I want to say, yeah.
Bunch of characters,
bunch of characters were, but Tutti. Yeah, she is the main objective of Banjo-Kazooie, but she's an incredibly forgettable character.
Well, I think she's more forgettable in light of Banjo-Tooie and the sequels. She's kind of been forgotten about, and as a result, she doesn't really have any iconic status.
Yeah,
and so I think.
Well, what we had theorized about Minecraft, because there is sort of a narrative to Minecraft. I'm not super familiar with it, but
our show notes say do a bit of research, and I don't think either one of us actually did any research for that.
No, I was busy combing through 20 listener calls to find the usable ones. Sorry, guys. But what our theory was for Minecraft, and I remember when I
was busy filling my fudge hog.
when this theory was broached on the DK Vine forum back when the Minecraft skins were announced, folks who were more versed in Minecraft lore gave it a thumbs up. So basically the notion was that Tutti had been in the Minecraft realm this whole time, and Banjo et al. Crossed over there to find her. Ultimately, they did. So,
I think it's like an Alice in Wonderland type situation, which you kind of get a lot of in the Banjo-Kazooie games, or maybe you don't. We can debate that here in a bit, but basically, Minecraft is another realm, a sideways realm, and Tutti either ran away there or fell through the rabbit hole, so to speak, like Alice, and Maybe Banjo knew she was running away there. Maybe their parents are just awful people, and she was just like, you know what? I'm a little bit older. I'm 2 years older. I'm running away. And Banjo's like, I support you in this, but I won't tell anybody. So they took out those ads on the milk cartons, but Banjo didn't look for her because he knew where she was. And then in the events of Minecraft Xbox 360 edition, Banjo went to visit her with some friends.
And then Tutti's name showed up on a sign in Showdown Town, in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, and I don't think it's really given enough context to know whether it's like a "Where is Tutti?" or "This shop was once owned by Tutti," or "We like the word Tutti and this is an unrelated sign." There's literally few ways to know.
But okay, so yeah. That's my theory on Tutti and Minecraft in general, as far as how it relates to Banjo and the rest of the Rare Archipelago. Because hey, Conquer characters also show up.
Yeah, and in fact, I think we touched on this a few weeks ago in the Halloween skin pack for Minecraft, which I think Minecraft is now owned by Microsoft, right?
Yes, but they're keeping it available on other platforms because they like money.
Yes, and because of that fact that Microsoft owns it, the Halloween skin pack has an ancient mummy from Grabbed by the Ghoulies and Greg the Grim Reaper from Conker's Bad Fur Day on PlayStation 4. So now for the first time, all three major consoles are part of the DKU family.
Yeah, that's really disheartening. I mean, it was going to happen sooner or later with Yooka-Laylee, you know, but yeah, it just this is the way we get on PlayStation. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I know you as a continuity anarchist probably like it a lot more than I do, but I just kind of like, all right, no way to debate that one. It's there.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, who cares really? That's my whole thing. I mean, like this whole anarchist thing. It's like it's weird and fun. Why not chase it?
Well, okay, I mean, I don't have an issue with this, as it's established fact this is Greg the Grim Reaper on a PlayStation game. It's just, it's so underwhelming the way we get on PlayStation finally.
Oh, by the way, I'm being informed by the Twitch chat, which our $5 Patreon patrons have access to, that the sign in Showdown Town is Tutti's Fruity Fruit Shop.
Oh.
So, I'm sorry, Tutti Fruity Fruit Shop. So not tooties, not possessive, but take that how you will.
Beans. They are the musical fruit. They
could be a Guffo store.
Could yeah. or a place that serves Guffo beans in their burritos.
Let's take another one. We're really plowing through them, aren't we?
Hey guys, ACZ here. Got a question for you about the Banjo universe this week. And it's just simply, what do you guys think about nuts and bolts almost sort of retconning most of the world building that was done in Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie? I mean, in Banjo-Kazooie everything seemed a little bit condensed, so it seemed like Spiral Mountain was its own singular thing. But really, when Banjo-Tooie came out, it seemed to pretty much expand more of the world and sort of hint that this is something bigger and that this is actually all, like, real places. Although, when we get to nuts and bolts, we find out that everything's basically fake and that L.O.G is the creator of basically everything, including all the game worlds in Banjo-Tooie. I mean, in Banjoland, there's even a sign where it's talking about how beautiful Cloud Cuckoo Land was and how it was very difficult for L.O.G to render that level. And another thing they sort of ended up doing in Nuts and Bolts was, as much as I love it, they ended up making the world feel a little bit more fake and manufactured. And I know that was the intention, but I don't know, it still doesn't really sit well with me. It's sort of almost retconning all these years of world building, but I'd like to know what you guys think about it. Anyways, talk to you later. See ya.
All right, thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks, ACZ. Well, you know, this is. I'm glad you brought this up because this is actually something that I see complained about quite a bit, and I can't fully get behind. I understand what you're saying, and I feel you, but I feel your pain. I feel your pain, baby. But I don't.
Be cool, ACZ. It's all right, man. Just to put on some Smash Mouth and hang out in your office, buddy.
Smash Mouth.
Yeah, 90s.
Okay, I just did that more with Shrek than anything. Shrek and Donkey Konga 2, my two favorite things.
All right.
No, I see this complaint about, but here's the thing, though. There's always been that very meta element in Banjo, in Donkey Kong, and Conker. I mean, they all are self-aware that they're in video games, and I don't think that's ever really clashed with my enjoyment and my hyper-obsessive attention to detail for their reality.
Right. And in fact, like in Conquer, it's celebrated. People love the programmer and the whole fourth wall breaking at the end of that game.
But that never makes me say, oh, well, Willow Woods just feels so fake to me now.
Right. Even though we literally know that Willow Woods was programmed. And thanks to Live and Reloaded, we know that there was a designer as well.
But here's the thing, though. There's just... like, what is reality, essentially? I mean, you can say, like, oh, yeah, L.O.G created Cloud Cuckoo Land as a world in a video game, but L.O.G is just some sort of deity, I mean, to Banjo-Kazooie. It means really nothing in the long run.
And that's key. That's key to me, the fact that you said he is a deity to Banjo and Kazooie. That doesn't mean that he is the almighty creator. It just means that he is sufficiently advanced beyond the capabilities and the perspective of the characters that we know.
But okay, let's say, and I'm not going to get into theology here, Chad, but let's just say that, I mean, I like my theology on coffee cups and nothing else. Well, I mean, if there was, if there was, or if there is, or I'm not saying anything. If there's a God, and he beamed down to the Kongversation right now and said,
so what you're saying is, what if God was one of us?
Another great '90s song. Yeah, I like that song, baby. What if, as shaped by administrations? I'm sorry. If God came down on the Kongversation right now and he said, oh, yeah, I created your show. Sure. I created DK Vine. I did this. I did that. To us, yeah, that would mean something. But I mean,
actually, no. To me, I would say, you're a liar. I have free will. You're probably some alien.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying, like, it's all relative, essentially. That doesn't diminish the universe we live in. And it's just like the Matrix, you know. They're fighting to be freed from the Matrix, but for all intents and purposes, the Matrix was a real place to the people who lived in it. I mean, you know, so...
And even to some people who knew they were out, like Cypher, he loved the way that steak tasted, didn't he?
He knew it wasn't real. It was all just a program, but, you know, ignorance is bliss.
That's right.
Even though they never explained how Cypher got into the Matrix to have that meeting with the agent, and nobody else knew about it at the time.
Oh yeah, you'd think on the Nebuchadnezzar they'd be like, hey, Joey Pantaleone, why are you strapped into the machine? What's going on there? And Morpheus would be like, Trinity, why don't you hack into what he's doing and read the Matrix code? Blonde, redhead, Agent Smith. Oh, he's eating steak with Agent Smith. Then when he wakes up, Cypher, hey, what are you doing, man? What's the dealio?
Man, we really should have written the Matrix sequels. We really had that dialogue down.
We would have had far too few Muddy Cave raves if we had written them. Those really brought the trilogy together.
I didn't realize. I rewatched the Matrix sequels the other year. And just, I don't know. I was feeling really like down on myself and wanted
masochistic.
To yeah. But I didn't realize that Michael from Lost was in them.
Oh yeah, he's a Link, right? Isn't that his name?
Yeah, he replaced the other guy, the really likable operator.
Mouse
from the first one. No, not Mouse. It wasn't
not Mouse.
Tank. No, maybe Tank and Dozer were the two brothers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, it shows you how much I give a shit about the Matrix. Like, I loved the first Matrix because I was 14 when it came out.
Okay, the first Matrix, for all of the cliches and eye-rolling moments that exist now, is still a really good movie. It's
right, yeah. And when you're 14, in particular, it's a mind-blowing, transcendent experience. But it's basically Plato's allegory of the cave with computers.
The cave rave.
That's true, exactly. There is a literal cave, and we saw all of their muddy gyrating shadows on the wall.
Anyway, so yeah, it's all relative. It doesn't ruin... I mean, that would be like saying the world of Donkey Kong is ruined for me because the plot of Donkey Kong Land is Cranky wants you to repeat your adventure on an 8-bit system. It doesn't... Like, that's the kind of stuff I can laugh with. Now, did they go too far in nuts and bolts? I could see that argument, and I definitely think the next Banjo game, and I do believe there will be another Banjo game, I think they need to scale that back and kind of not focus on L.O.G. They can reference it. They can reference the events in passing, but they can't, like, focus on it. They've got to scale back. I think nuts and bolts, they just went all in because they really thought this is going to be the last Banjo-Kazooie game because we don't, like, our games have not been that successful lately. The public
and yet they couldn't resist teasing a sequel at the end of it
because there's always that glimmer of hope.
Right.
There's always that anglerfish of hope.
I would who blinds you as you move left and right. I would reject the premise though of the ACZ's question statement theory. I don't think L.O.G created the ILO hags at all. I think that Showdown Town and those Showdown Town is kind of cobbled together, and if you talk to the NPCs there, they're like, he's always watching, he's always out there. Like, I think that though they have been sort of kidnapped and threatened to behave as if they are the residents of Showdown Town, and you even you can even tell every single stage at Nutty Acres it's like Klungo as the farmer. Everyone is playing a role in Nuts and Bolts, and I think that all of that shit is artificial. Yeah. Sort of, it's like a hologram, if you will.
Yes. Oh, I'm coming. Oh yeah.
The first time I have ever used holograms to explain something in the DKU.
Oh, that was good.
That old Hyle Russell standby. Yeah.
Clean up on aisle me.
So anyway, I think L.O.G is a trickster god. I think that it really depends on. He's Loki. He's the original Loki. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason that you need to take L.O.G at his word just because he's able to pause the game. To me, that's meaningless.
Yeah, he's definitely got power, and I'm glad you said Showdown Town. You were saying Showdown Town itself is artificial, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it certainly is constructed to look more real than everything else, but
I'm going to give you my theory on Showdown Town right now, because
lay it on me.
This is a point of contention among the DK Vine staff and the editorship at large, because I know Cameron Regal, who brilliant, talented artist, absolutely fantastic, did these killer Rare Archipelago maps for us that we took to E3 and gave to Rare folk. And he believes that Showdown Town is on the ILO hags. And so as do a lot of people whose opinions I respect.
Okay.
I cannot get on board with this, though, and this is why. Okay, I think Showdown Town is the realm of L.O.G. I think it is, I've already used this term, I'm going to use it again. It's a sideways realm that L.O.G specifically uses to jump from video game reality to video game reality. It's kind of like a nexus point.
Right.
Showdown Town, and if you don't believe me, in Showdown Town, you can see, not only can you see Ghoulhaven Hall, good lord, in the distance, but you can also see something that's very clearly supposed to be Peach's Castle.
Ghoulhaven Hall, yeah, no problem. But the Peach's Castle thing, it's a reference, but I think it's copyright skirtingly different enough.
Doesn't matter. It's supposed to be.
Okay,
that's like saying platonic. If we had a thrice tapping goldfish in Yooka-Laylee, you could say,
all right, developer intent. All right. I'll cede my point.
Especially, if I was a Mario absolutist, I would say, no, that's not Peach's Castle because blah, blah, blah. But as a Banjo fan whose Donkey Kong games sometimes cross over into Mario, absolutely that's Peach's Castle.
What about this?
It's all a matter of perspective.
What would you say if Showdown Town is like a bubble reality, and depending on the direction you look out of it, you're basically looking at a window to another location.
Well, that's essentially what I was saying. I mean, it's
okay. You are seeing Ghoulhaven Hall, you are seeing Peach's Castle. It's just that from where you are, it looks like they're just over the horizon, whereas in reality, they're potentially in another realm.
But that's how L.O.G would travel to location to location so quickly. And I think that I've heard the argument that Ghoulhaven Hall is actually on the Isle of Hags. That's the only explanation that makes sense, but that completely nullifies Ghoulies' intent. Because if you play Grab by the Ghoulies, it's clearly supposed to be in a human populated area.
Right.
There's Ghoulsville in the gloom just over the horizon. Clearly, all the weird shit that Cooper and Amber experience, it's not familiar to them. They don't live on an island that's run by witches. You know?
Yeah. I mean, really the only major human influence on the Isle of Hags that we know of is Christine. Of course, the
Melanie.
Melanie. Oh, yeah. Is that what we decided to call her? We used to call her Christine.
Yeah, when we came back in 2010, we realized we needed to give her a punny name. So
right. And she
Melanie,
has boobs.
She's holding melons.
Right, yeah. So, Melanie is a human, obviously. Then, of course, there's whatever the witch sisters used to be.
Well, they're human. They're just disfigured.
Right. Black magic and all that. Klungo, potentially, if he's like a warlock or something. He may be like a gruntling that got...
No, I think Klungo and the Winky Bunyan sisters all were humans who dabbled in black magic a little bit too long. It's like the Force in the old Star Wars expanded universe. The more you use the dark side, the more it withered you physically.
Then I wonder what Mrs. Klungo's deal is.
Maybe that's Melanie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've never seen her. Maybe that is Melanie.
That's not canon. That's just a theory. That's not even fanon. That's just a
DK
theory.
Vine's official stance.
No.
No, it's not. And then, of course, Saberman. But Saberman was contextualized as an explorer, So
right, he was just exploring. It's the same way Baron von Ghoul explored the Isle of Hags, or Mr. Pants, as we later found out in It's Mr. Pants.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that it's... Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense for Gloomhaven Hall to be there. Although, if Showdown Town was sort of planted there and there's easy access to these other locations at great distances, then potentially you could walk to Gloomhaven Hall from the Isle of Hags. It's just not actually there, right?
You'd have to access Showdown Town, and the only way to access Showdown Town would be with L.O.G's permission.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, so that's our theory on Showdown Town. It doesn't actually physically exist on the Isle of Hags. It's just connected to it within like a different godly realm.
And that makes Cameron's posters no less badass. He just needed to put Gloomhaven Hall somewhere, and that's the best place he could have put it.
My theory is it's in the southern coast of the UK, because it is on the coast, because we know there's a lighthouse and you can see the coast up in the lighthouse. So
right.
And there's pirates everywhere, so zombie pirates.
There is that. Okay, thank you, ACZ.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is. I'm really impressed with how, like, this random sampling of calls, everyone's like hitting kind of unique subject matter.
Well, I'm impressed, but I'm a little worried we haven't gotten any Batman villains yet. And what does Mr. Freeze have to say about Hailfire Peaks? Because, he can only live on half of that world.
Howdy, y'all. This is Mike Lazo of Adult Swim, and I want to put Elvis and Slick Body Season 3 on national TV. That's right, I'm going to put $35 billion in your Kickstarter thing of the Mitchig. Yeah. Actually, no, I just want to talk to y'all about Grunty the Witch from Banjo-Kazooie. Why? Because I just I got a whole bunch of Coca-Cola with Dave Willis. Anyway, you know how in the first game, Grunty, fuck it, I'm just gonna talk in my normal voice. You know how in the first game, Grunty wants to be pretty, yet she's so proud of being so repulsive, and in the second game, she just wants her skin back. While I haven't played all the other games all the way through, it got me wondering, what do you think Grunty's what do you think? What is Grunty's underlining goal? Is it just does she just want power, and is it just about power and ego? I'm Mike Lazo.
Well, that's the call.
Well, that's why you shouldn't smoke crack before you call the GK Vine hotline.
Thanks, Mike Lazo, Chief Creative Officer at Adult Swim.
Yeah. Got my hopes up there for a second. Really thought we had a backer.
I love how for a second while he was still in the Mike Lazo shtick, he was like referencing anything in Atlanta that he could think of. Like, I just had a Coca-Cola. I'm surprised Ted Turner didn't show up.
I thought it was Ted Turner at first.
All right, so is Grunty like Tom Jane in that she just wants her kids' skin back, or is there anything more to it? What's her motivation?
Honestly, she's just a bitch. I mean, she's vain. She realizes, I think at first she's enticed by dark magic. She wants to be powerful. And then she becomes an ugly hag, and she wants beauty. And then she, loses her body. She decomposes, and she just wants revenge, and she wants to suck the life force out of everything to revive herself. I think she just keeps digging herself further and further into a hole, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think that, it originally started, if you go to the original backstory, it was a power grab. She wanted to be able to perform witchcraft. It sapped her. I don't know if she originally looked like the game over version of like posh Grunty, but regardless of that, she probably didn't look quite as bad as she did at the outset of Banjo-Kazooie itself.
Yeah.
But then after the events of Banjo-Kazooie, which it was really all about her getting herself to that beautiful state, probably so she could not only be magically powerful, but also be able to exert influence over impressionable heterosexual men and sexuality spectrum oriented women. I don't know what the terms are these days.
You could have just said magically delicious.
Magically delicious. Anyway, she that was her goal in Banjo-Kazooie, but when Banjo and Kazooie scuttled those plans, then it became all about revenge. She's basically in a net negative since Banjo and Kazooie started up. Now she's just a skull in a robot body. So I think that until she regains her at least original Banjo-Kazooie form, it's going to be all about revenge with a sub motivation of getting her body back.
Yeah. So it's like where K. Rool is all about, like, he descended into just revenge against the Kongs and getting power back where he could. Grunty really just hasn't bounced back. Each failure just makes her more and more pathetic, honestly.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, it's awesome that they are, it's sort of the opposite of what you would expect for a villain in a sequel. They just
it's not It's not Bowser syndrome where he just bounces back and the status quo never alters. Like, I love that Grunty is always worse for the wear after each defeat.
Yeah, and she's always got some kind of interesting mechanism to make her formidable despite that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Grunty's an awesome boss, but that's really what drives her at this point.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Let us know if you want Elvis and Slick Monty on Cartoon Network.
One more thing, though, real quick. She did, of course, take over a good chunk of Spiral Mountain, and her sisters took over the Isle of Hags. So, they definitely do have a lust for power. They use that black magic that they harnessed for great benefit, to themselves. So I think initially, they wanted to be kind of lords of a kingdom,
Well, I don't know if any of our callers are going to bring up the back history from Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, but we know that there was originally a Jinjo head in front of Grunty's lair, of what became Grunty's lair.
Not just any Jinjo head, it was King Jingling.
Right. Or at least a crowned Jinjo, maybe King Jingling's predecessor. We don't know the Jinjo lifespan, but
and the Jinjo Oracle in that game also referred to Spiral Mountain as the Jinjo homeland.
Right. So I'm thinking that maybe maybe Grunty needed like a secluded place to practice her black magic, and that's when she kind of took over that little hole in the wall and burrowed in and made all of these portals to other areas, and sort of made it her own.
I don't know if she made those portals, because remember, Master Jiggy Wiggy's temple was also originally located in Spiral Mountain.
That's true. That's a good point. So, and Master Jiggy Wiggy, via the Crystal Jiggy, has the power to at least grant access to different areas. Now, mind you, of course, the areas that he let you access in Banjo-Tooie were physically there.
But
so it's a little different.
Grunty's Revenge, he let you access areas that were more in the Banjo-Kazooie mold. Portals that took you to another area.
Right. So, I think, maybe the key to all of this really is within the Jiggy Wiggy faith.
Yeah, because we know he has followers, and he
has one disciple.
Well, we don't see the other ones, and we know like his temple really extends inwards. There's McJiggies in there. There's some other things that we never see. Mm-hmm. So it's really I don't know. It could be. I think there's greater credibility to the Church of Jiggy Wiggy than there is to Scientology. Please don't sue.
Now, Hyle, the good folks of the Jiggy Wiggy faith would never sue us.
Why don't we take another call, and maybe we'll circle back around to this Granny's Revenge discussion, because it does bring up some points, especially about how the worlds of Granny's Revenge and the original Banjo-Kazooie work. Like, where are they? That's something I want to get to in a bit.
Okay, well, hopefully one of our callers will prompt us. Here we go.
Hey, it's me again.
Yay!
I'm Itchy, and so you guys are asking about Banjo's world and stuff today. So I got a question related to that, of course.
Any day.
What the hell is L.O.G? So we all know L.O.G, Lord of Games, great guy.
We all know him. Great guy.
What I want to know is that if he's related to, if you guys think he's anyway related to Master Hand, or if Master Hand is a real god, or L.O.G is the real god of the Supreme Universe of video games. Because as, the game said, Banjo's world is just a video game now. That also brings up another question. Is the world that the Banjo world that L.O.G created our world? Like I know that the whole DKU thing is that all of the islands are on our world basically. So how does this fit in with our narrative and what Rare said that it's just a video game? Because it kind of does bring up some questions.
So disdainful there.
Also,
sarcastic.
Unrelated, but that Nintendo Direct. Just real quick thoughts. Do you guys think Donald Duck's going to be in Smash Brothers? Or, you know what? No joking. Rhythm Heaven character and King K. Rool is going to happen. I just know it. I really, really know it. I mean, like, nothing's going to. If it doesn't happen, either of those don't happen, I'm just going to fall into a deep depression. Sorry. Well, I'll see you guys.
Bamchi out!
Yeah! Bamchi out! Sorry, it sounded awful. Just see you guys.
Is that the end? There's still more call. Okay, there he hung up.
Okay.
It's like that audio file is still going.
It's like the killer's still in the house.
Oh God, on that Kongversation live, if Memechi calls in, we're going to be talking to him for hours.
There's literally anything can happen on the Kongversation live.
Yeah, it's a lot like Halloween in that respect.
It's Halloween, again, bottled and distilled into audio form once a month.
Oh, Memechi,
12 Halloweens a year.
Thank you. I mean, we obviously talked about the Lord of Games previously, but I like that he brought up Master Hand as part of this, and I think maybe we can have a larger conversation about what are the deities of the Donkey Kong universe in relation to the quote unquote normal characters, the mortals.
We already have like concrete evidence that there are powerful beings from other realms who come in and act as gods,
like Thor from the Marvel universe.
Right, exactly. Hemsworth brothers do play these characters in my head movies. Of course, Chris Hemsworth plays Tiki Tong. His lesser talented brother plays Target Zan.
Yeah, he is dizzy and despotic.
No, but there's those two at least. Tiki Tong, Target Zan, of course L.O.G, and then Master Hand and the various Hand family. And I don't know. I don't think you could make a case that any of them are God, but they definitely are very powerful beings who like to muck around in the universe of the games.
Define God, because why can't you consider them gods? Like what?
God in the traditional Western sense. This is more of kind of almost
you're going monotheistic here, aren't you?
Yeah. When you say God, I'm associating it with God capital G, but these are more lesser gods, like the Greek ancient Greek faith. I got Zeus, and where they're just really powerful dickheads more than anything.
right.
Yeah,
and as revealed by Star Trek the original series, they were actually really powerful alien dickheads.
Yeah, Stargate SG-1 also played around with that. They revealed that like Thor and all these other deities were either like gray aliens or Goa'ulds.
Goa'ulds,
little like serpent beings who burrow into a host and take them over.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, so.
You mean like from Wrath of Khan on SETI Alpha 5?
Yeah. Anyway, they also had host for the baby Goa'ulds called Jaffa, and there's one Jaffa named Teal'c.
What, from Aladdin? I'm so confused now.
It's Stargate. I don't know, man. I just wanted to reference Teal'c once.
Yeah,
it's a fun name to say. So, I really think L.O.G is just a more benevolent god. He's not like so much as a power tripping hungry dickhead like Tiki Tong, or somebody who likes to literally play with his toys like Master Hand. I mean, you get some of that, but he seems to be less antagonistic, maybe slightly antagonistic. He does basically pit Banjo and Kazooie and Gruntilda against each other, and enslaves one of them at the end of their conflict. But
yeah, my whole thing is just the Donkey Kong universe, or in fact the various universes that make up the Donkey Kong multiverse, are positively lousy with extraterrestrials. Why?
Just lousy with them.
Lousy.
Infested.
And almost certainly some of them are anthropomorphic lice. But why can't we consider the possibility that the characters that present themselves as deities are just really, really advanced aliens?
Because we almost always see them universe hopping. Through the multiverse. Yeah, so we always see the Showdown Town, if that's your interpretation. Master Hand brings universes together. Tiki Tong, you actually went to his home dimension at the end of Country Returns. I mean...
Well, but my problem with that is that by just calling them, just turning off your brain and calling them gods, you're basically saying that they are omnipotent. And I think that they are extraordinarily powerful, even to a universe hopping and perhaps time traveling sense, but there are limitations to their abilities. And
okay, but both Target Zan and L.O.G refer to themselves as gods.
Right.
And if that's what they want to be, who are you to say that they're not gods? Why don't you check your privilege, Chad?
I'm sorry, if I can think of myself as a god, and if someone asks me if I'm a god, I'll say yes. But
I'm just saying, why can't gods use the men's room?
Right?
I'm just saying.
Just saying, right? Alanis Morissette, come on over. Use whatever room you want. Another
What?
90s reference. Dogma. You ever seen that one?
I was like, what does irony have to do with my statement?
No. It was the fact that she played God, which was a much more relevant reference.
And or blowing Dave Coulier.
Right. Dave
That's really the
Coulier's
only
penis could be a god. We don't know.
When you bring up Alanis Morissette, I've got two references to go off of. And when you defy that and bring up Dogma, when you bring up a Kevin Smith movie, why are we bringing up Kevin Smith?
Hey, it does have a giant anthropomorphic shit monster in it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to talk about Kevin Smith movies, Dogma is probably the best one you can discuss, but...
Arguably the first Clerks, but that's
even that,
really
I don't think that's aged well.
It's a time capsule, certainly.
Yeah.
Anyway. I'll tell you this, it ain't that Walrus movie. Let's be clear there.
Magical Mystery Tour?
# Walrus no.
But another point he brought up was... this isn't our world, and this is something I think I've railed against in the conversation before. This mentality that a fictional reality can't be set in our world, because when you start dealing with multiverses, there's always going to be an Earth Prime that comes into it, where our world, where none of this stuff is actually happening, or it's all fictional and we're reading about it or watching it or playing it on a video game.
See, this is another thing that I love about Rick and Morty, because how much have you seen of it? To date,
I've seen 2 episodes.
Just those 2 still. Okay, so it might have been in one of those, but basically the hero Rick of the show is Rick from Earth Dimension C-137 or something like that. So it's like there is no Earth Prime in that multiverse. It's just everyone is from a different Earth, and you're no more special than anyone else, which is a really cool take on that idea.
In the Marvel universe, the main Marvel universe is called Earth 616.
Same idea, yeah.
As a joke, yeah. Okay, it's just a play on DC Comics, which had Earth 1 and Earth 2 as the primary Earths,
Mm-hmm.
I like to reject this, because who's to say we don't live in this world,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like I'm having a hard time tracing the tangents back, but we're getting all existential up in here.
Yeah, I know, but we could technically live in the same world that Log messes around with. Banjo and Donkey Kong and friends could live on an island in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere.
I just don't want us to when entities say they're gods, don't take them at their word.
That's really your stickling point. This is really what sticks in your craw.
Yeah.
You the hardcore atheist.
No,
like,
I'm not.
Excuse me, Mr. Log. You are not a god.
It's just Occam's razor, man. Is it more likely that this alien is lying to you, or is it more likely that there is some omnipotent, multiversal being that defies all logic? And I'm not getting into human theology here. I'm not trying to make a statement about that. We're talking about these game universes. I think Log is a trickster and a liar.
But who's to say Log doesn't come from a dimension full of other, beings, and he's breaking the rules by interfering with our reality?
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's great. That's fine.
That's all I'm saying.
But I don't think he created Banjo's world. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, maybe they have some sort of outside influence on it, though. Maybe they shape things, or they shape decisions we make unknowingly. We still have free will, but it's like this force that weighs on us. It's our subconscious.
All right. I don't know.
I don't know, but my point is that we have to exist in the same world as the Donkey Kong universe, because how do you explain you otherwise? Thank you. My case is closed.
All right. Next caller. Thanks, Momechi.
Hey, it's Steve from Rare Gamer, and I have a theory about the worlds in the Banjo series. Mainly that every hub world in the central area acts as a spreading parasitic virus.
Whoa!
For everyone. If you go into a world, you'll notice in Gruntilda's Lair, in the very first game, that it kind of migrates, both in tone from the music as well as the surrounding areas. So it'll be like sand for Treasure Trove Cove, snow for Freezy Easy Peak, so on, etc. My theory is that every time you venture into this world, you bring more of that world back out. And that's especially made apparent when you listen to Gruntilda. She's like, every time you go into a world, the monsters roam about once more. And in Bubble Gloop Swamp, for instance, it's just this kind of swampy terrain. You enter into the level, and then once you come out, you've suddenly got, I forget what their names are now. Is it the mosquito enemies that are flying around? Same with like termites, like the tickers in Mumbo's Mountain, and so on and so forth. So what you could argue is that if this continues to keep up, if it's spreading like a parasitic virus, then in Banjo-Tooie, the rocks blocking off everything might not be just from wear and tear on the layer itself, but it could actually be just the levels encroaching more and more layer that, it eventually got to a point where it became unstable because all the worlds began meshing together, and then it created some kind of calamity inside Gruntilda's lair. So that's my theory. If you want to elaborate on that, which I'm sure you will, with several non-canonical examples as well as you're famous for doing. So, yeah, enjoy.
Oh, man. Steve, I was loving the call until you threw the gauntlet down.
Yeah, a little bit of a rivalry coming up between his rare fiefdom and our rare fiefdom.
No, it was great. Steve is of course one of the folks we met at E3 who was on our E3 Microsoft episode. Also is one of the masterminds of the rare fan site Rare Gamer. Thanks for calling, Steve.
He also appeared several weeks back on our show.
Oh, on everyone's favorite title of any episode ever, X 15 Ways to Cleave Your Cannon.
Yeah, that people just flocked to that one.
They loved it. Everyone immediately got it.
Jesus Christ. So, yeah, well, thanks for the call, Steve, and I like that you brought this up because this is something I've thought about quite a bit.
Really, have you? See, this is I'm hearing about this notion for the first time, and I think it's fucking brilliant. So, Hyle, what's your take?
I've got a similar take. Maybe differs a little bit than Mr. McCorkle's here, but I think that like when you have like an open gateway between two worlds, eventually those worlds start to bleed into one another, and you've kind of got this kind of both like the worlds kind of overwrite each other.
Stephen, the larger Stephen King universe refers to these weakened places as thinnies.
Thinnies, yeah. In DC Comics, they have something called the Bleed, which is like the fluid between the universes that you can like puncture the bleed and it'll spill out. Anyway, and so yeah, I'm thinking that because you have like these open gateways, the other world is kind of pushing on the reality that's within Grunty's lair and kind of almost terraforming it into something else.
It could even be like a pressure differential. It could just be as simple as like there is a lower barometric pressure in Grunty's lair than there is in these other places, and so they're physically just being pushed in.
Of course, it could also be that Grunty just likes to decorate her lair to look like the world around it, which is also possible. It's less interesting that way. I really like getting all metaphysical about it,
Right. I also love this as an explanation for what happened to Grunty's lair, because as far as we know, no one's been up there since the events of Banjo-Kazooie.
My theory about Grunty's lair is this. After Grunty was overthrown, had the boulder drop on her, and Colungo, started to become obsessed with rescuing her, Gruntilda took it over, and she blew out the entrances so nobody could get back in.
She must have, or hopefully she gave all the inhabitants an opportunity to collect their belongings, because we know, obviously, Boggy and his family escaped, as did Tip Top and any number of other Banjo-Kazooie characters.
Gobi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe they still have, maybe the residents of the worlds can still leave and she'll grant them access. But yeah, I think it was specifically to keep Gruntilda out.
Okay. I do, though, like Steve's headcanon about the collapse being a result of this bleeding in. It's a really cool theory.
There's no wrong theory here. I'm just saying,
It's the Reese's peanut butter cup of video game overworlds.
I just like the thought that Gruntilda is just living it up large in Grunty's lair. just like Tom Cruise style, she's dancing in her underwear.
No one wants to see that. Tom Cruise, I mean.
Right. I wanked to Gruntilda at least once a week.
Risky business, not a popular film. But what do you? So let's use this as a springboard into
a shock spring pad. A shock spring pad.
Yes, let's use this as a glowy green pad. Which, by the way, I loved the way in Banjo-Tooie,
which sounds like something for your heavy flow months.
Okay, I love how in Banjo-Tooie it actually illuminates the playable characters green when you're standing on top of the pad.
That's beautiful. Yeah,
yeah. It's just one of those little lighting effects that Tooie does so well. Anyway, let's talk about the worlds of Banjo-Kazooie and how they're accessed and what that means about their proximity to the Isle of Hags.
Well, let's fucking do it then.
Yeah. Well, Rusty Bucket Bay, I think, is the most contentious, or at least the most indicative of what's going on, because that is Gruntilda's ship out of Twycross. Doesn't she refer to it as like my boat? It's Gruntilda's Rusty Bucket, right?
Yeah, it's definitely her ship.
Yeah. So does that mean that it's docked somewhere nearby? That the Rusty Bucket Bay is just off the Isle of Hags? Or?
Here's the thing, though, and here's the problem when discussing anything in the Banjo universe. There's always magic involved. So you can make a case that, okay, she just teleported the Rusty Bucket inside this world, this isolated dock. And that, she used it to sail to Spiral Mountain or the Isle of Hags or whatever, but then she docked it inside this one particular world inside her lair. So, yeah. There's really no, conclusive answer you could walk away with, because when magic is involved, anything is possible. It's the laziest, hand wave, but unfortunately...
Who's to say Gruntilda's not a god?
Unfortunately, half the Banjo cast practice magic, so... it definitely...
And the other half were imbued with magical abilities by Taj.
Right. So it's
I'm very alone. I must put googly eyes on everything.
Oh, that's racist, man. That is racist.
I'm so sorry.
Once again, check your privilege.
Happy Diwali!
I Jesus fucking... I am happy to have blue elephant genies urinate next to me in the men's room. I'm just saying.
So yeah, yeah, you're right. It is hard to say where these areas are.
I feel yeah, because I really wanted in Banjo-Tooie to be able to sail back to the Rusty Bucket, have Captain Black Eye sail you back, and get those fucking question mark eggs and ice key. But alas, that was not meant to be.
And aesthetically, Grunty Industries is very similar to Rusty Bucket Bay.
It is, but. Here's the thing about the Banjo-Kazooie worlds. Mm-hmm. There is literally no way to know. And I think, in my mind, and this is the way I've dealt with this headcanon for years, I think they're another dimension entirely. I think it's like an Alice in Wonderland type situation, much like we associate the Mushroom Kingdom as another dimension, another world. I think the Banjo-Kazooie worlds, and by extension the Grunty's Revenge worlds, are different worlds. Now, are they pocket universes, completely isolated, or do they all exist on the same plane, just different locations?
Well, here's the thing. I think that they might, now that I think on it, they might actually have to be in relatively close proximity to the Isle of Hags as we know it, because...
Explain.
As far as we can tell, the only way to access these places is to go inside Gruntilda's lair and go through the, fill in the puzzle piece, be granted access, and go in there.
Well, that's only because they were blocked off to Banjo-Kazooie. I assume you don't have to find the puzzle pieces each time and fill in the portraits and then get access to it.
Okay.
I think mostly they're just open gateways.
Regardless of that, Spiral Mountain.
Open gateways that Master Jiggy Wiggy probably opened up in the 70s.
Okay. Spiral Mountain is still the only access point, as far as we can tell, to these worlds. And yet, until the Gruntilda, the Winky Bunyan sisters opened up that hole leading into Jinjo Village, there was no clear pathway to and from the entrance to Grunty's lair. And yet, half the cast of Banjo-Kazooie has residences in both places. So I'm thinking those worlds have to be somewhere around the Isle of Hags, and accessible by non-portal means, because there'd be no reasonable way for there to be this like mass sort of like a trail, not an exodus, just like a venue to get to and from their locations in the Isle of Hags by way of Spiral Mountain. It doesn't make sense. So
well, that's let's talk about where Spiral Mountain is actually located, because I think that's kind of key to this whole debate.
All right,
it might actually not be relevant at all. I just want to talk about it.
Is Spiral Mountain not just you go through the tunnel, you fight Klungo, you turn 90 degrees to the right, and you go out, and you're in Jinjo Village? I thought it was just above the hills that you can't see into, right?
Here's the thing, though. Okay, I know the assumption that Banjo-Tooie leaves most gamers walking away with is that Spiral Mountain must be on the Isle of Hags, because, you just go in this underground tunnel, boom, Jinjo Village.
And after you fight Klungo, you don't even go into that tunnel, you just pop right out.
Well, yeah, but then you can go back into the tunnel and
No, the tunnel's completely blocked off.
I know, but the game skips over it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Though.
Okay.
Yeah. Your character is still walking through it. You just don't see it, because that would be very tedious.
Fair enough.
But here's the thing, Banjo-Tooie, and we've talked about this, I think, before on the conversation when I brought up the Northern Hemisphere theory, which I'm still fond of, and my fondness for it has been rekindled in full force thanks to the Swanky Box video from the other weekend, because it was just cool that somebody else came to the same idea that we did. I first had the idea back in, I guess, when Banjo-Kazooie popped up in Diddy Kong Racing in 1997, because at the time I didn't know where Banjo was from, but I knew he was a bear, and he was interacting with Diddy Kong. Maybe he was from the Northern Hemisphere. And I'm sure I molded that theory as I learned about Spiral Mountain. Oh, there's a place called Spiral Mountain. It's probably in the Northern Hemisphere. And then, Banjo-Tooie kind of made me abandon that. But you play Banjo-Tooie, and it's interesting the way they label things, because Banjo-Tooie, unlike Banjo-Kazooie, has location cards pop up. Like, it labels, when you're on a new area. So you're in Spiral Mountain, okay? You go through the Digger Tunnel, you pop out, and it says Isle of Hags, Jinjo Village. Now,
interesting.
If you were already on the Isle of Hags in Spiral Mountain, why is it now making this clear difference? Why is it drawing the line in the sand here? Drawing the line in the Digger Tunnel.
Maybe it's to do with, I guess the way that it's like gerrymandering. It's like that's how the districts of the Isle of Hags have been drawn. Is the
Gruntilda drew the congressional districts after the census to really favor her reelection.
Right. No, but something like that. Like it's all part of the same landmass. It's just Spiral Mountain is not considered
politically part of the Isle of Hags.
Exactly. It's not as far as legal entities go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's really, again, it's one of these things where there's no way to tell for sure.
Look, I'm not advocating that Spiral Mountain is not on the same landmass as the Isle of Hags, but you do see the Isle of Hags from above, and you can make out some landmarks. Arguably, you can't make out Spiral Mountain. I think at one time we thought it was Spiral Mountain, but it turns out that it was actually Cauldron Keep and some of Pterodactyl Land.
Oh, that little pink dot?
Well, yeah. Well, the pink dot I thought was where
that's
the
Cauldron
bubble.
Keep.
Yeah. But
yeah, no, there's also, if you look, you can see there's a little bitty island, but that's likely the entrance to Hailfire Peaks, which is just outside the Jolly Roger Lagoon entrance.
You can clearly see Hailfire Peaks because there's a lava side and there's an ice side. So
right, yeah. So but that's such a blurry texture.
Oh, okay. I'm not saying like that's evidence one way or another, but if you could accept that the Digger Tunnel, and this is the only way you could accept it, and I'm willing to admit that this is far out on a limb and that you probably can't accept this, but if the Digger Tunnel is somehow undersea and it is far bigger than one thought, Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's right next to the Northern Hemisphere. Maybe Spiral Mountain is where we initially thought it was, next to Razor Ridge.
I don't know.
So something that Rare could never reference legally, of course. But, I mean, it's definitely... The Swanky Bucks video inspired me, man. What can I say? I'm reaching for the stars tonight.
As much as I appreciate having these parallel theories, I feel like we abandoned that one long ago for a good reason.
You abandoned it. I always kept the torch for it. I always kept the fire egg lit in my heart for it. I know it's shaky. But... I never really sat right with me that Spiral Mountain was part of this landmass, the Isle of Hags. It's one thing that Banjo and Kazooie never really referenced or cared about the giant witch lair that was right above them.
But hang on a second,
but
though.
But to live on an island full of witches, like...
No, but we just got done talking about how it wasn't an island full of witches. It was a Jinjo island, and it was probably very peaceful, and probably Banjo or the Bear family has had a house there for a long time. We don't know what happened to Bear, but Tutti and Banjo have certainly taken it over in the intervening years.
Okay, but specifically, Spiral Mountain was the Jinjo homeland, and it's weird that they referenced that as a Jinjo homeland when just over the hill they moved, like... If they moved their village to Jinjo Village and it's just right over the hill, technically it's still part of the same homeland. They just had to move a few feet. I mean, I don't know.
I think that the fact that it's called Isle of Hags, that's a pretty recent designation in the grand scheme.
I'm saying, like, they probably took that over in the 70s when Gruntilda came to Spiral Mountain. Her sisters took over the rest. Assuming Spiral Mountain's at the same place as the Isle of Hags, her sisters took over the rest of the island, or at least in their minds they took it over. Gruntilda took over Spiral Mountain, but maybe they say, okay, you take over Spiral Mountain, I'm going to move over to this lair, kick these fucking Jinjos out because I want to set up my own little private lair.
Yeah.
And maybe
she's always been an ambitious one, hasn't she?
Maybe that was in the Northern Hemisphere, and maybe it wasn't.
I don't think there's any. I think that's such a stab in the dark. The only connection there is the fact that there are bears in both places, and as you said at the top of the show, they're clearly not the same kind of bear. So I don't know why you're bending over backwards to entertain this.
Bending over bear. That's my favorite. No, but there's different types of Kongs on Donkey Kong Island in the same jungle. So I don't see why. I mean, the Northern Hemisphere couldn't just be, lousy with bears. Again, lousy.
I'm falling back on Occam's razor here. What is the simplest, most logical explanation?
Okay, well, how do they get out of Spiral Mountain? They call Funky, and the gyrocopter comes.
And if Funky's not available, a hologram.
Why don't we take some calls? Because I feel like this is getting contentious, and we're going to start having a knife fight at any moment.
I'm going to cut you, Russell.
Hi, guys. This is Josh from Off of the Geek Critique. I've been playing through Bad Fur Day for the first time in ages via Rare Replay, and when I saw Greg the Grim Reaper again, a question sprang to mind. Now, according to the rules, Conker gets as many lives as he thinks he can get away with, and they're represented by squirrel tails. But what implications does this have on the wider DKU? We see in the Return series that balloons allow the Kongs to float back to checkpoints. So do those characters never actually die the way Conker does, even in situations like Castle Crush? And what about other series? What correlation, if any, do you think items like golden banjo statues have to the underworld seen in Bad Fur Day? Alright, thanks for the show, and keep geeking.
Ooh. He's got a catchphrase just like Mamechi.
He just kind of took over our show there. He kind of became the Geek Critique for about a minute.
Yeah, and I like how he submitted his call via email. It was, by the way, Josh, it was an Ogg Vorbis file. I had to download a codec for that.
But he really wanted to maintain that professional quality.
He did. Wow, this is a great one. Because the golden banjo statues were only in Banjo-Kazooie. Did something in universe change between the two games, or? Yeah, I don't think we've ever really delved into this, have we?
That's because that's a tricky one to delve into. I've thought about it a little bit, and Gruntilda is really the only character out of the three main Donkey Kong Universe franchises to canonically die at any point. I mean, as far as like our main protagonist goes, obviously Bottles died, Wrinkly Kong died and stayed dead. Although she comes back as it goes through doors to tell you about how to beat armadillos. But anyway, so like Conker was our real like glimpse into what happens when a character dies, and I love that Conker introduced this mundane bureaucracy. Like they have all these bullshit rules, like yeah, if you have a squirrel tail you get to come back. Like it makes no sense, but it plays into the cast have 9 lives thing. Like like there's all these weird rules that came about through all this like haggling, and it just like it's kind of like Beetlejuice, that it portrayed the afterlife as just this mundane waiting room that had, you know, no different than our world, just on another plane.
Or I think we talked about it previously, the Albert Brooks movie Defending Your Life. Similar concept.
Right. So you got that. The Kongs, we've actually fan-wanked pretty heavily what the Kongs have to jump through and why they have balloons and barrels and checkpoints and
checkpoints.
And Professor Chops and his Oink family. And that the Kremlin curse was something we kind of established as a way to hand wave all that stuff away.
Right.
And actually, going back and looking at Donkey Kong Country's Game Boy Advance's opening storyline, which kind of portrayed for the first time in game the events of It Was a Dark and Stormy Night in the Donkey Kong Country Super NES instruction manual. You see Diddy get knocked over by a Crusher who comes into the Banana Horde cave, but he's just knocked over. This is pre-Kremlin curse, and he's just kind of knocked senseless by it. And then after that, off screen, he's sealed into the barrel for the first time. So I thought, it was at that moment that the Kremlin curse came into effect, and Diddy wasn't knocked dead or whatever. Anyway,
right. So you're going to great lengths to work like a 9-year-old Hyle's fan wank into existence.
Come off of it, Chad. I was 11.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I forget you're 18 months older.
That's right, baby. And with my more experience and wisdom, I bring forward. I think I really had the more credible theories here, but
there's no way I can possibly argue with that.
Chad, in 18 months, come back to me and tell me how you feel about the Northern Hemisphere thing. Okay. I think you'll feel differently.
I'll have a whole new stance on on the coral capers water shimmering effects.
Yeah, you'll be like, holograms. But anyway, so I don't think the Kongs ever actually die because they have that safety net, inadvertent safety net of, we have this curse placed on us, we're just going to go into these barrels. Now they could die under the right circumstances, but they've never gotten to that point. As far as Banjo goes and the golden Banjo statues, what are your thoughts on that, Chad?
Oh, thanks. You teed me up for that.
I want to see what you have to say. I've hogged the conversation here.
Banjos, the golden statues. Okay, so I guess we've theorized that there is a reaper of animals and there's a reaper of humans, as represented by Junior from Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Death, and Greg, of course, in Conker's Bad Fur Day. So by that logic, that means Greg is Banjo's Reaper as well. So
and the Reaper of the Kongs. He was the one who personally escorted Wrinkly Kong into the afterlife, and maybe told her about the doors.
Yeah. So then we wait, like Jim Morrison?
Yeah. He let her borrow his box set.
Yeah.
Wrinkly Kong loves jamming the Roadhouse Blues.
Yeah, they told him they needed a bass, but she didn't believe him. No, so, geez, I completely lost my train of thought. So what is it about those golden statues that gives Banjo another chance? What is it about bears that deserve extra lives? I don't, honestly.
Well, I think the golden Banjo statues kind of sidestep like sidestep Greg entirely. I think they're a magical totem that like Greg is not privy to. I think like Conker had to fall back on the squirrel tails because he was already dead, whereas the Banjo statues keep Banjo from dying.
Okay, I like that.
Important distinction to make, but there you go.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Here's another notion. Perhaps because I was thinking, like, what is it about Banjo-Tooie that makes it different than Banjo-Kazooie in universe? Of course, I mean we know from a game design point of view why they got rid of the the one-ups in Banjo-Tooie. It's kind of an outdated. By that point, it was an outdated concept. But I'm thinking perhaps the existence of the intriquel Grunty's Revenge, the fact that it got all timey-wimey with its plots, could have created this like weird splintering...
You really had to say timey-wimey?
I did. This splintering like multiverse, so that what you're actually seeing in Tooie is one version of Banjo and Kazooie on their adventure, and when you die, then the game just switches over to another one that basically is a result of the fact that you traveled back in time in Grunty's Revenge. It kind of unlocked you as a player the ability to switch between the most similar version of the universe that you were playing.
I don't like that because it has too many shades of the hero fails timeline from Zelda.
But no, it's like it's like the hero fails hundreds of times.
No, I mean, an A for effort. Or shouldn't that be an E for effort? Anyway,
look, as long as you have to buy the vowel, I'll take it. It's more valuable than your run-of-the-mill consonant.
All right, an A for effort. But
thank you.
I don't know. I think, I mean, one difference is that Banjo-Kazooie takes place in and around Grunty's lair, and Banjo-Tooie doesn't. So, I don't know. Maybe you could say that maybe the statues were something Grunty devised as a means of toying with Banjo.
But you can kill yourself in Tooie's Spiral Mountain and still reappear.
Yeah, but Grunty is vamoosed by that point. She's gone through the Digger Tunnel. She's no longer there. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Maybe the Banjo statues were created by Gruntilda. I don't know. Maybe I think in Banjo-Tooie, and this is kind of, I mean, getting into the whole broader subject of you don't really have game overs in a lot of games anymore. Lives are kind of an antiquated concept at this point. So you kind of have this split that happens around this time in the Donkey Kong universe where this stuff starts becoming a thing of the past. I mean, there's exceptions. Obviously, Donkey Kong Country still has lives and whatnot, but Donkey Kong 64 certainly didn't. Did they? No, they didn't. No, you could get a game over, but that was just by quitting.
Right, that was the only way to get to see that traumatizing ending cinema.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think you just kind of have to come up with your own explanation, and I think literally there's no way to know, but
I like mine.
That's fine, you can have yours. I'm just going to say that the Banjo statues were a product of magic in the first game, and that you just kind of have to accept that they weren't around in Banjo-Tooie, and you also have to kind of accept that if you die in Banjo-Tooie, that's it for the character, but you can undo those events by just restarting.
No, but I mean, that's the whole point of DK Mine, isn't it? Is to not just accept those things, right? So
to an extent, I mean, sometimes, I mean,
where are you drawing the line now?
I'm drawing the line right here, I guess.
You draw the line when it comes to crazy Chad-oriented multiverse theories, but the Hyle ones, A-okay.
I think saying that you're following different Banjo-Kazooies is one toke over the line.
That may be where I came up with the theory.
Sounds about right.
All right, let's take another. 2 more calls.
Woo!
Hello there, Chad and Hyle. It's me, Malik, once again, with a little theory I have about the world of Banjo-Kazooie. I thought about it for a while, and I thought to myself, what kind of theories are there in the world of Banjo-Kazooie that I really think about, aside from Stop and Swap? And I thought about it for a while, and I kept drawing blanks, but I thought of one in Banjo-Tooie, where Mumbo, you know how Mumbo and Humbo-Wumba are always bickering with each other and always biting each other's heads off. I always thought maybe because they really hated each other, but what if they actually have feelings for one another and they're just suppressing it or just hiding it from one another? What do you guys think? Do you think there could possibly be a connection between Humbo-Wumba and Mumbo? I really think there could. Anyway, that's all I got for you right now, and yeah, I'll call again next time. See ya!
Well, all right.
So are Mumbo and Humba the Sam and Diane of the Donkey Kong universe? Not to be confused with the Jack and Diane, who were sucking on a chili dog outside the Tasty Freeze.
Mm-hmm. So the little Diddy goes.
Not the Diddy Kong.
No. Okay, so first off, I want to applaud our callers for exercising such extraordinary restraint to only get to shipping on the 9th of 10 calls. Yeah. That's incredible. But I would prefer to think that, you know, there doesn't always have to be romantic entanglements. I just like the idea that Mumbo and Humba just fucking hate each other.
Yeah, why do men and women always have to be romantically interested in each other? Can't we just hate each other? Really?
Right. Come on.
No,
Mulder and Scully can just have like this subcutaneous thread of mutual resentment. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, otherwise we're going to get Mumbo and Humba, I want to believe, and nobody wants to see that.
No one.
This does help spur us a bit into the discussion of the world of Banjo a bit, though, because what exactly is this like stereotypical tribal shaman doing in this area alongside a Native American like medicine woman? And then you've got like witches from fairy tale lore nearby. Like, why are all these divergent magic users like in this area? And
I don't know, Hyle. I just think that that's something we're gonna have to accept.
Yeah, why don't you accept this? And you can't see it. You can't see it, but I'm grabbing my crotch vigorously. No, one of our theories has always been that, we know Mumbo was a novice shaman in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Along the same time that Grunty moved into Spiral Mountain and was kind of new to the area. And but we know they have a backstory too. And the original backstory was that, and never really referenced in game, but in supplementary material, so it could be overwritten a bit, is that Gruntilda disfigured Mumbo, that Gruntilda learned magic under Mumbo, and then when she like mastered dark magic, disfigured him and went on her own way.
Mm-hmm. From his original Jinjo visage.
I do like that theory that Mumbo was a Jinjo, and that we have some word of God on that.
Thanks, Ed.
Ed Bryan, not Ed O'Neill,
nor Mr. Ed.
Yeah. This didn't come from a horse's mouth.
Wilbur, he's a Jinjo.
God, the 1950s were a fucking weird time. Like, one of the first TV shows ever. What should it be? How about a guy has a talking horse? Done.
Well, we got peanut butter, and it looks hilarious when we put it in the horse's lips. There's a show.
Well, what a fucking weird era, man. All right. Well, Hitler died a few years ago. How should we celebrate? Let's make a show about a talking horse. They didn't even have cocaine at the time. What the hell? Anyway.
Yeah.
Like, where did these ideas come from? Anyway.
Laudanum.
So we kind of had to retcon that storyline in light of Grunty's revenge, because everything was still too new. Like, how did Grunty learn magic under a novice Mumbo when they were clearly contemporaries? So our theory was that they had a magic teacher, some sort of wizard or shaman that they both learned magic under at the same time. And as well as Grunty's sisters, as well as possibly Humbo-Wumba, or maybe Humba came in later and learned magic under this magic master user, this Obi-Wan Kenobi of magic. Yeah. And this unseen character that we have no information on because we completely fan-wanked him.
See, I would go a different direction.
Okay.
I would say I like the idea that they all sort of studied under something.
Because they came far and wide. Grunny came from possibly Twycross and her sisters and Mamie Klungo. Mumbo seems to be a local. Of course, Humbawamba is a stereotypical Native American that came from some reservation somewhere.
But they all have similar magical abilities.
They do. There's difference in the way they use it and harness it, but it's all essentially the same.
And we even know that final spell that as Grunty was tumbling off of the top of her tower at the end of the first boss fight, that was originally going to turn Banjo and Kazooie into a frog.
Yeah.
So even she has transformative magic,
which is also a spell Wizpig utilizes.
That's true. Yeah. Poor drumstick. That's right. But no, I would say that it wasn't necessarily a teacher, an Obi-Wan kind of figure that taught them.
Oh, Yoda.
It might have been Cheeto. It might have just been the existence of this magical spell book that everyone started hearing about, flocking to Spiral Mountain, and interpreting in a variety of ways. And then when Gruntilda got too big for her britches, she thought she didn't need Cheeto anymore, ripped up all his pages.
It's a film. I like that. I always interpreted Cheeto as just Gruntilda's a weirdo, and she likes to make everything around her alive, including her shitter. But no, that could work too. Yeah. I don't know. But I do think
and Cheeto talks, so he could even be Obi-Wan Kenobi in this metaphor.
I think. Ultimately, there just has to be a reason why all these magic users flock to the same area on the same island chain. You know, there's definitely something drawing them all there, and they definitely do seem to all hate each other in some capacity, you know? Grunny even hated her sister. She murdered them in the end.
I apologize. It might be my fault.
Maybe they all learned from Taj.
That's what I'm saying.
Jesus, Taj is responsible for it all. I don't know, but yeah, I like that magic is this kind of nebulous thing in the Donkey Kong universe, but there are these consistent rules for it at the same time. It's never as established as like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, but there definitely does seem to be some sort of unifying theory.
All right. So, thank you, Malik, for the call.
Thanks.
Yeah, so far we're really getting a lot of unique topics. Let's see if our final caller can continue that trend.
It's gonna botch it.
All right, guys, it's Kev here. No worries, chat. I've got my microphone plugged into the right socket this time. It's a little reference for you. Yeah. Banjo-Kazooie's world, then. Well, there's a little thing I've always wondered about, and I know you boys aren't too big on nuts and bolts. I know it's kind of a black spot in your banjo knowledge, but what's interesting is at the start of the game, it's confirmed it's been like 8 years real time since Banjo-Tooie. They've both gotten fat, and haven't had any adventures. But like, as soon as you go to Showdown Town, all the characters you talk to, like Mumbo and all that, they seem to like, they don't say, oh, I haven't seen you for fucking years. They just seem, it's like you haven't, you've seen them every week or something. But on the other hand, they don't seem shocked that you suddenly lost all that weight. Do you think they're kind of in on the whole thing, or do you think, to be honest, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask, but I just thought it was weird. You see someone who's fat every day and suddenly they lost weight, you don't even mention it. Or have they not seen them in years, in which case, why don't they say, where you been, mate? I don't know. Alright, cheers guys, bye-bye.
Well, the streak's intact, at least. That's definitely a unique question.
I don't know, I think that we know that they hang out, or at least the central cast hangs out amongst themselves, because Banjo-Tooie, it was interrupting a poker game. We know that the moles and the Jinjos have regular kickball tournaments.
Well, and also, if you're going to accept Banjo-Pilot as canon, which you should do, or else you're a terrible person, on par with Adolf Hitler, then we know that somewhere circa 2005, they're having these, racing competitions in airplanes for some reason, even though there's no reason, because they never get that far off the ground. And that's why Nintendo didn't want the game as Diddy Kong Pilot unless they added gyroscopic controls. But I digress. we know that as far as 2005, they were interacting, and Banjo-Kazooie was still kind of, thin and fit then. It wasn't until after Banjo-Pilot that they just said, fuck it, let's eat pizza and play Xbox all day.
Oh, so did we ever explain why Gruntilda had her full fleshed out body in Banjo-Pilot?
I did.
What was that?
You want to hear it? Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I do.
You ready for this? You ready? You're sitting down?
Lay it on me.
All right. Hologram, baby. Hologram!
Of course it's holograms. Why would it be anything else?
She projected a hard hologram around her skull, which was floating in this hologram the whole time. But that takes a lot of magic power and mental acuity, and she ultimately couldn't keep it up, and it just drained her. It drained her, and she said, "You know what? I can't do this hard light hologram anymore. From now, I gotta put my head in a fishbowl or something on a robot body because this was fucking hard. This was fucking impossible."
Okay, so a hard hologram. You're talking
hard
about
light hologram, yes,
like a holodeck with force fields kind of thing.
That's right. Just like the holodeck, she could also indulge in some Sherlock Holmes fantasies because we're not.
Yeah,
because we're tired of writing for Star Trek this week. I want to write for Sherlock Holmes.
I would love if in Banjo-Pilot one of the playable characters was John Rhys-Davies as Leonardo da Vinci.
I'm just pitching this to you right now. We haven't talked about this. If Elvis and Slick Monty season 3 does happen, not on Adult Swim, but if our Patreon is successful enough that it ever can happen, I want to do a holodeck episode of Elvis and Slick Monty.
It's a deal.
Yes! I topped out there because I was so excited.
Yeah. You see how easy that was for me to agree to? Any idea why?
I know how to manipulate you, Chad. I know how to manipulate you. I can get you excited about Elvis and Slick Season 3 just by indulging your Star Trek fantasies. But
I don't know, Hyle. The likelihood of us hitting $35,000 a month, who's manipulating who here?
Well, that's true, but you know what? I dare to dream. I reach for the stars. I say Spiral Mountain is in the Northern Hemisphere, damn it, because I want it so badly.
And Tuesday is half night pizza night.
So what do you think about Banjo-Kazooie? They're fatty fats, and then they get in shape. And
well, no, I think the question is more like do the characters interact when we're not watching them? And if they do, why aren't they bringing up the fact that all of a sudden they, people that they know look drastically different?
Well, there's two explanations as far as I can see, and it depends on your interpretations of the characters. Either they're too polite to reference their weight gains and fluctuations. It would be like, the Friends in the TV show Friends. They never commented that Chandler, got ballooned up and then became practically anorexic overnight.
That's because he's the world's greatest comedy writer.
Right, but they Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip references aside, because quite honestly, we're the only two people that's playing to right now. Not
even the Crazy Christians love the Crazy Christian sketch.
I don't think the Friends audience was saying, I don't know, Joey and Ross, do they even hang out with Chandler when we're not seeing them? Because they would have noticed his weight gains and losses. I think it's, no.
Right, but it didn't happen suddenly to Matthew Perry, So it was a gradual progression of weight gain, whereas all of a sudden, literally in the blink of an eye, Banjo and Kazooie are significantly different looking.
Well, okay, then Banjo and everybody, or Mumbo and everybody else, were far too polite to reference it, or they're self-absorbed assholes and they never even noticed.
Here's my take. I think that the fact that everyone that they encountered in Nuts and Bolts were kind of pulled into this whole song and dance by L.O.G.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knew that something was up. So the
laws of physics and reality were very malleable at that point. And
exactly.
That's probably the best explanation.
The fact that their friends are a little bit svelter is the least of their concerns when you're being forced to play some weird copyright free bit part in a Lego based stage play.
It was essentially the holodeck. That's what Nuts and Bolts was.
Yeah.
It really was just a holodeck episode of Banjo-Kazooie, which was unfortunate because we only had 5 episodes of that show. But 7 if you count the mobile games. But I don't know. I think that, yeah, they definitely do hang out when we're not seeing them, because that's what I like the Banjo-Tooie established, that they do have poker nights, and that the events of Banjo-Kazooie made everybody like really like tight knit, you know?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. Even though, yeah, so tight knit that Banjo and Kazooie don't make reference to Bottles dying when they visit his family, even though Kazooie really wants to tell them to watch their pained reactions. So yeah, they're assholes, but you know.
I think it's more that like Banjo wanted to spare their feelings until they could solve the dilemma, you know?
Right. There's more important things to get to. We'll have this hard discussion when we're done. But now...
I think that in Banjo's mind, there was some hope that perhaps they could undo what happened. So there's no reason to, you know...
Wait, so when like, a loved one dies for you, do you, like, just kind of... Are you in such denial that you think, well, maybe I can reverse this. We'll just wait and see. I'll have maybe a 20-hour adventure, and we'll see how that goes before I actually deal with the consequences.
I'm not in a world filled with witches and magical spells, so...
Yes, you are! You are!
You're right. You, capital Y-O-U, me, you, is in this world. Shit.
Were you and I not in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing with Banjo-Kazooie?
Well, I don't know about you, but you me certainly was. I can't speak for your UDKU.
Right. I've got the game right here on my desk, along with Minecraft Xbox 360 edition.
You have been so many places, by which I mean me. I don't know about you.
This has been a File 2 production.
Qué rico.